So in this video I'll be going through the solutions to the exam paper, which is attached in its electronic form in the description below. So before we start this paper, let's have a look at what it's worth and how long we've got to complete it. Now this paper is worth 40 marks and we've got 45 minutes to complete the paper. So here what we're looking at is looking regularly at a minute a mark with 5 minutes of checking and reading time involved in that. So let's go straight into it. So in terms of question 1, the question is asking us to work out 81 as a power of 3, and we've got to circle our correct answer. Now for this, if we've got access to a calculator, all we need to use is our power button and actually just type in 3 cubed, 3 to the power of 4, 3 to the power of 5 and 3 to the power of 6 on our calculator and see which one of those gives us an answer of 81. So if I just quickly load up my calculator, and hopefully loads up. There we go. So for example, if I've got this calculator, which most people do have, if I enter 3 and then press this little X with a square above, type in 3 equals, so 27, it's not that one, 3 to the power of 4 gives us 81, and that is the correct answer. So I'm then going to circle this. The other alternative is to start with 81 and just divide by 3 until you get to 1. And if I do that, I get to 1, and you can see that I've counted it 4 times, and there we get our answer. Now in terms of 4/5 as a decimal, well, to convert fractions to decimals on the calculator, you can either do one or two things. You can either enter it on your calculator. So if you've got this calculator, you just type in the fraction 4 over 5, press equals, then if you press the fraction to decimal, it'll come out with the correct answer of 0.8. Alternately, what you could do is just enter 4 divided by 5 on your calculator and it should come up with 0.8. For question 3, it says which statement is true. Now it's really important you do read these questions carefully because sometimes they might ask you which of these is false. In this case we're looking for which one is true. So here we're just going to read through the statements and see which one is true. Well, is minus 6 greater than minus 2? No. Is minus 6 greater than 2? No. Is minus 2 greater than minus 6? Well, yes, because that is correct. And because it's only worth 1 mark, we're only looking for one of them. And obviously minus 2 is not greater than 6. Moving on to question 4. So what value of the digit 7 in what is the value of the digit 7 in 3.72? Now here what this question is looking for is, well, this 3 represents units, the 7 represents a tenth, and the 2 represents a hundredth. Now the th basically means over 100. So let me just make that pen a little bit thinner. So here we're looking for 7/10, so it's going to be this one here. Now for question 5, it said here are some cards. So we've got plus 8.3, plus 8.9, minus 8.9 and minus 8.3. And says choose a card so that the answer is as small as possible. So here we're adding and we're starting off with a negative number, so what we want to get the smallest possible number, we want this to be the smallest number out of the 4, and the smallest out of the 4 is minus 8.9, and I'll get 1 mark for choosing minus 8.9 and then 1 mark for typing it into my calculator. So all I'm going to do is get my calculator, I'm going to enter minus 3.5 plus and then minus 8.9, and I get the answer of minus 12.4 for 2 marks. I'd get 1 mark for minus 8.9 and 1 mark for minus 12.4. Now looking at the mark scheme, I may get 1 mark for correctly working this out of if I used any other cards, but I'd definitely go for the smallest one, which is minus 8.9. Now the next one then says choose a card so the answer is as small as possible. So here the key thing to note is that here, although it looks like a similar question, we're looking now at a minus. Now what we're going to do here is to take away this, is we then want to take away this number here, which is plus 8.9. Now one way of doing this, if you're not too great with negative numbers, is to basically substitute each question and see how you get from here. So for question A, I've got minus 3.5 plus, and then it'll be 8.3, and then I'll try plus 8.9, minus 8.9, and minus 8.3. And what I would do, and you've got a minute to do this, so it's not that bad, and what I'll do is I'll work out each of those possible answers and then go for whichever gives me the smallest answer. For B, I would go for the exact same. So here we're going to go for minus 3.5 minus, and then 8.3 plus, sorry, minus, so minus 3.5 minus 8.9 minus 3.5 minus minus 8.9 and minus 3.5 minus minus 8.3. Work out each of those four possible answers and go for whichever gives you the smallest answer. Now if you've done that correctly, you should end up with the same answer of minus 12.4. Then for question 6, circle the percentage that is greater than 3/4 and less than 4 over 5. Now 3 over 4 as a percentage, all you need to do is times that by 100 and you get 75%. If I times 4/5 times 100, I get 80%. So what I need to do is work out which of these percentages are between 75 and 80, and the answer would be 78%. I can't write this one or this one because it needs to be bigger than 3/4 but smaller than 4/5. And if I go for either of those two ones, then obviously that's not going to be true. The next question then says circle the fraction that is greater than 0.3 and 0.4. Now again, to convert fractions into decimals, all you got to do is divide the numerator by the denominator, or again just enter the fraction, press the SD button if you've got a Casio calculator. But this one you should have 0.25, this one is 0.33 recurring, this is 0.3, and this is 0.5. So again I'm going for the one that is between 0.3 and 0.4, and that's going to be 1/3. Moving on to question 7, it says circle the cube number. Now in terms of cube numbers, you're looking at 1 cubed, 2 cubed, 3 cubed, 4 cubed, 5 cubed, 6 cubed, and 10 cubed. Now these are all ones that you kind of need to learn like spellings. So 1 cubed is 1 times 1 times 1, which is 1. 2 cubed is not 6, it's 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. 27, 64, 125. And again, all we're doing is looking at which ones we've got here, and we can see that 8 is our cube number. Next question then says to add minus 5. So I've got minus 5 plus minus 3. Now looking at negative numbers, we don't like two symbols in the middle. So again, if we have got two symbols in the middle and they're different, it becomes a minus. So here I've got minus 5 minus 3, which gives us an answer of minus 8. Question 9 tells us to write down all the factors of 18. So basically here what this question is asking us is to write down what numbers can you divide by 18 that leave no remainder. And the answers for this should be 1, 2, 3, 6, 9 and 18. Now it's worth 2 marks, although you have written down 6 numbers, and you would lose 1 mark for every one of those numbers that you missed off. Now another way of working with factors is to think to yourself, okay, how many different numbers can I get that give me 18? And they've got to be different numbers, and you can just keep going on until you can't think of any more. So for example, looking at this, let's get that one there. So starting off with this, I've got 1 times 18, I could have 2 times 9, I could have 3 times 6, and then I'm stumped. Now you could think of, oh, I could have 9 times 2, but I've kind of already done it. All you want to do is just circle all the unique numbers that we've not got, which are those 6 numbers, and there is our list. Now those numbers don't need to be in order, but it certainly does help if they are. And one way of checking to see if you've done this correct, where you've got 1 times 18, 2 times 9 and 3 times 6, and there you've got all your factors together. Moving on to question 10. So here we're writing 280 as a product of its prime. Now product of its prime factors, so I'll start off with 280, put a little box around it, and again I'm thinking of any two numbers apart from using 1 that multiply together to give you 280. So I'm going to go for 140 and 2. And then from this you want to circle if any of those two numbers are prime, and 2 is a prime number. So I'm going to circle that. And then we've got 140, so that's going to be 14 times 10. None of those two are prime, so I continue. I've got 7 and 2. 7's prime and so is 2. For 10 I've got 5 and 2, and both of those are prime. So the answer I'm going to write here is 2 times 2 times 2 times 5 times 7. Or you could write 2 cubed times 5 times 7. And there is your final answer. And again, when working with prime numbers, it's always good to kind of make a little note and write down all your prime numbers and so forth, and you can just carry on. It just makes it a little useful, and it's always important in terms of prime numbers. I always say that it's really good for you to know your first or your prime numbers up to at least 50. Then moving on to question 11. So here we're looking at a bank statement. Now in terms of credit and debit, now it's important you know what these two words mean. Now credit is basically what's going into your bank account, and debit is what you are spending. So for example here, so we've got a starting balance of £136 and 5 pence. Now you've paid in £40 and you get a refund of 65, so that's a plus. So any of these columns you're going to add, and any in these columns you're going to take away, and you're starting with the previous balance. So to work out on the 15th of October how much money we've got, what we're going to do is going to enter 176.05, and we're going to add 65.2, and that gives us a balance of 24125. So 24125. The next one, going to the shop, I need to take that away. So I'm going to do that, take away 83.19, which gives us 15806. So 15806. And then I'm going to spend another £164. So from this we've got 158.06 minus 164.76, and we're going to end up with a negative value, so we're going to end up in debt of £6, and I forgot what that number is again, and 70 pence. But we're going to then, thankfully, we get paid, and we get £46. So all I need to do is add £46 to minus 6.7, 46, and we get an answer of £39.30. And there is our final amount. Moving on to question 12. So it says Sam spends £20 on petrol. Petrol costs £1.45 per litre. Sounds about right. Work out the number of litres of petrol she buys. Give your answer to one decimal place. So for this, what we need to do is we need to do 20 divided by 1.45. Now if I type that into my calculator, I get 20 minus 1.45, and I get an answer of, and I've done takeaway, so 20 divided by 1.45, I get an answer of 13.79310345, and the question's asking me to round it to one decimal place, so here I'm going to round it up to 13.8. Now in terms of where the 3 marks are gained, you get 1 mark for doing 20 divided by 1.5, and then you would get 1 mark for writing down the number. So I've got 13.793, so 13.793, and just write down the other digits, 10345, 10345, and then you get a mark for rounding to one decimal place. So if your rounding's a bit sketchy, then always write down what number is given to you on your calculator. Now for question 13, it's simplifying, so here we're collecting like terms. So again, I've got W's and I've got X's, so I'm going to put a circle around the W's, including any sign that's on the left, and I'm going to put another colour circle around the X's, including any sign that's on the left. And again, I'm just going to redo that one because I've got rid of the sign. and I want to include it. And there we go. So looking at the W's, I've got 6W take away 4W, which is 2W, and I've got minus 5 minus 2, which gives me minus 7x. And again, if you're unsure, just use your calculator and it will tell you what the correct answer is going to be. For question 14, again, going through collecting like terms, I've got 3A take away 1A, which is 2A, and then I've got 7B plus 4B, which is 11B. For expanding, again, let me just change the pen and definitely change the thickness. So here I've got 4 times 2D, which is 8D, plus 4 times 5, which is 20, and there is the final answer. And again, you get 1 mark for each correct term that you do correctly, including the sign. Now in terms of factorize, here what we've got is we've got numbers and we've got letters. Now there's no common letter, both of the two terms haven't got the same letter, so I've got to look at the numbers. So you've got to ask yourself, what is the biggest number that goes into both 15 and 18, and that would be 3. So the next thing you then need to think of, okay, so 3 times what gives you 15? It'll be 5, and I need an x. And move on to the next term. So what times 3 gives you 18? Well, that'll be 6, and you need a y, and there is your factorized expression. And then moving on to question 15, it says 15 rulers cost £3, work out the cost of 40 rulers. And again, so the first thing we need to work out is the price of 1 ruler. So 1 ruler costs, and it's going to be £3 divided by 15, which if I type that into my calculator, 3 divided by 15 equals, and it'll be 0.2, so that's 20 pence. So to work out the cost of 40 rulers, I need to do 40 times 0.2. Now the reason why I'm working in pence is because, in pounds, sorry, because it tells me that they want the answer in pounds. So I'm going to do 40 times 0.2, so 40 times 0.2 gives me 8, so it's going to cost me £8. Moving on to question 16. So again, this is worth 3 marks. So it says in 2012 electricity costs 15p per unit. A family uses 3,729 units. In 2013 electricity costs 17p per unit and the family uses 3,506. How much more did the family pay in electricity in 2013? So what we need to do is separate the questions. So I'm working in 2012, and what I need to do is I need to do 15 pence times 3,729. Now it's always good practice for you to work in pounds. So 15 pence in pounds is 0.15. So it's going to be 3,729 times 0.15. And again, if I type that into my calculator, so we reset that, so I've got 3,729 times 0.15. I get an answer of 559 and 35 pence, so 559 and 35 pence. I then need to work out what the price was in 2013. So again, I'm going to do the number of units, which is 3,509 times 0.17. Again, get the calculator out again. So I've got 3,509 times 0.17, and it gives me an answer of 59653. So 596, what was it? 53, I think it was. Yeah. 0.53. Now the question's not asked me to work it out. It says how much more have I paid, or have the family paid. So I need to do 596.53 minus 559.35, and again get the calculator out again. So it's going to be 596.53 take away 559.35, and the answer is £37.18. So it's £37.18. You would get 1 mark for working out the price of 2012, 1 mark for working out the price in 2013, and 1 mark for your final answer of working out the difference. Now for question 17, The question says £800 invested for 3 years at 2% simple interest. Now simple interest is quite an old-fashioned sort of calculation which isn't really used as much, but basically what it means is that the percentage you get is going to be the same year on year. So simple interest, so what I need to do is work out what 2% of 800 is. Now 1% of 800 is 8, so it's £8, so 2% is going to equal £16. So I'm going to get £16 for 3 years. So here it's going to be 3 times 16, which is going to be 48. So the total interest you're going to get is going to be £48. So not to get confused with percentage increase or decrease questions. And moving on to question 18. So it says 3 whole numbers have a total of 100. The first number is a multiple of 15. The second number is 10 times the third number. Work out the 3 numbers. So here we get it's worth 3 marks. So here you can pretty much guess. So we know that the 3 numbers have got to add up. So in terms of this, I need to find 3 numbers that add together to equal 100. It says that the first number is a multiple of 15. So I'm looking at 15, 30, 45, 60, 75 and 90. So the first number's got to be one of those 6 numbers. And it says that the second number is 10 times the third number. Now in terms of this, so if I'm working with 15, then these 2 numbers here have got to add up to 85. So then I'm thinking, well, are there 2 numbers? Now from here, the 2 numbers have got to add up to 70. There's the numbers have got to add up to 55. Here the numbers have got to add up to 70. For 75 they've got to add up to 25, and here they've got to add up to 10. Now for the second number to be 10 times the third number, it's unlikely to be this one. And so what I've got to try and do is think to myself, well okay, let's have a look. So if this number, let's say, is x, then this number here is going to be 10x, because it's got to be 10 times the third number. Actually it's the other way around, so let's just correct that. So if the third number is x, the second number has got to be 10 lots of that. Now if I add this up, I've got 10x plus x gives me 11x. So from these numbers I'm going to circle now which of these numbers appear in the 11 times table. Well, there's only one possible combination, and that's going to be 55. So from this we are looking at the numbers being, well, 2 numbers that multiply together give you 55. Well, if I've got 55 equals 11x, then x is going to equal 5. So if this 5th number is 5, this number here is going to be 50, and this number is going to be 45, meaning that my 3 numbers are going to be 45, 50 and 5. And there we go. And that is it.